what you see here on the screen is a chart from Willy Woo, and the source is charts.woobull.com. And what it is, here in the black line, this is Bitcoin, the price of Bitcoin from the period 2009 all the way up to 2019 or thereabouts. And you also see in all the colored lines here, these are all the altcoins, all the thousands of altcoins out there, right? These are all the altcoins. And what you can note from this is that the price of Bitcoin has steadily increased over a long period of time, whilst all of the altcoins have decreased and tend towards zero, trend towards zero, right? Now, what gets me is, I've got clients who call me up and want me to do altcoin consultations for them, which I refuse. And I tell them the reasons why and so on. I could go into that, but I'm not going to go into that in this video. What I want to talk about is people out there in the space, companies out there in the crypto space who are running middlemen solutions. Celsius was a middleman. There are other companies out there who have got middlemen business models and platforms. Okay. Celsius as a company, think about it, right? The people running that company and the people running all these middlemen crypto companies know full well they know the reality of Bitcoin versus altcoins. And most of them have likely seen this graph. If they haven't seen this graph, they still know the truth of the matter in that all the altcoins trend towards zero against Bitcoin. So, given that they know this, why have they gone in and started a business specifically, okay, a lending business, knowing full well that the security that they're taking from their customers, the security that their customers are depositing to them, i.e., altcoins, right, for the most part, is bad security. So not only do they know that altcoins trend to zero against Bitcoin, but they've accepted altcoins as security, right? And then they've taken those altcoins and they've lent them out to others, third parties, right? Institutions and other people who are doing high risk things with the coins, right? The security is bad, altcoin's bad. Hey, let's accept them and let's loan them out and have other people gamble with them, and let's then pay our customers a unsustainably high yield, okay, of 17% or more. This is what I just don't get. I mean, what can go wrong? Think about it. Everything can go wrong with that kind of business model. And we're seeing it play out in the crypto market at the moment with Celsius, right? Right? Now, this sort of shit can go on for a while, but it can't last forever. Companies like this are always going to run into problems. Now, Celsius have halted withdrawals because there's been a bank run on them, right? What are they going to do when they allow people to start withdrawing again? They're going to do it in a controlled manner, a slow manner, so people can't withdraw their coins straight away. How is the public ever going to trust them again, right? Now, I've been trying to tell people from the very beginning when I started INTJ billing, do not buy altcoins. Most of them are scams. Don't invest in them. They are not investment class assets. Certainly don't, if you do own them, why deal with these middleman companies who know this? They know this, okay? Now, it's really sad that my channel, my YouTube channel, I don't have any advertising on it. I don't have any sponsors. And the reason why is because I talk the truth too clearly. Too clearly. Who's going to advertise with me when I tell people to buy Bitcoin, dollar cost average into it over a very long period of time? And if they need to sell, dollar cost average out of it over a long period of time. Very few. I mean, that's, take control of your keys. All the advice I give on my website is good advice, right? All the companies in the crypto space, look at what they're doing, look at their actions, look at the actions of the venture capitalists, look at the actions of these crypto middlemen companies, and ask yourself this question. Why are these people not helping Bitcoin and the Bitcoin Lightning Network specifically and exclusively to succeed? Look instead what they're doing. The venture capitalists in the space are getting involved with people like Do Kwon and other altcoin creators, and they're giving them large amounts of money in return for an allocation of coins at the very beginning, which they're then dumping on retail investors. Right? That is, to me, that is unethical. It's unethical. I don't like that. I don't like to see retail being dumped on. Right? I try to advise people to stay away from any of those coins for those reasons. Right? Study this graph like it's an exam. Study this graph very carefully. Now, this graph is on my website, on the Bitcoin consulting section of my website, because, and it made it there, the graph made its way specifically to my website, to the very top of my website, because of concerns that I had after consulting with several customers who came to me for advice about Bitcoin, but were really only interested in getting rich quick, right? So 1.7 million people around the world, all right, invested their money or their altcoins with Celsius. Right? Just think about that. Now, in my previous video, you heard how I described these middleman companies, and Celsius in particular. I described their service in very different language to how they describe their service on their website. Now, there's a documentary on YouTube about Charles Ponzi. Look it up, Charles Ponzi, the documentary. Charles Ponzi, right? Do a bit of research about him and his background and what he did and how he got away with what he was doing for a length of time before it all come crashing down. Right? Interestingly enough, he too was telling people to cease and desist. Uh, you know, in publishing anything bad about him or his company, right? It's just so predictable. See, there's always going to be people like me out there in the space who call bullshit. I'm the type of person who calls bullshit all the time. And, have a look at my actions in what I'm doing. I charge an hourly fee for crypto consultations. That is a fair way of doing business, right? I'm not doing things for free, because if I was doing things for free, then you would be the product, right? So I'm not willing to do that. You've got to look into these people's backgrounds and what they're up to and how they're making their money and what their plans are and how they're running these shady operations. My issue with Celsius from the very beginning was, okay, how are you making so much money off this bad security that your customers are depositing with you? What are you doing with their coins? Who are you loaning them to? In what amounts? What are those companies' names? What are the names of the people who are involved in those companies? And what are those companies doing with those coins to earn large amounts that you're able to return to your investors at 17% in your return? Bad security is bad security. And this graph, out of all the graphs that I've come across, okay, this one's really, 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 really important. Okay. Study it, stare at it, think about it. These middlemen companies, these people behind these companies know this graph. They know full well that these altcoins trend towards zero against Bitcoin. Ask yourself, why, if you were running a business in crypto, why would you be willing to accept such shitty security? Right? Unless you were making an absolute fortune with that shitty security. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Ask yourself questions like this. Right? It's time to call bullshit on the crypto industry. It really is, right? Now, sadly, with what's gone on with Luna and with Celsius, it's dragged the entire market, including Bitcoin, down. It's created a dangerous situation as well. Okay? If Celsius gets liquidated, a whole lot more Bitcoin could be sold into the open market, which would be very negative on the price of Bitcoin. Long term, it doesn't change Bitcoin's value proposition, but still, to have these major events occur like this and drag everything down, regulation's coming. Regulation is coming because the public, it would seem, 1.7 million sheep who trust. Now, I don't want. No, I don't want to. I'm not going to call the public sheep like that. 1.7 million trusting people out there who are not trained as computer scientists, who don't have the background that I've got, who trusted a middleman provider in an industry where Bitcoin was supposed to eliminate the need for trust. That's what it was all about. Solving the Byzantine generals problem, the uh, the ownership of your private keys, the taking custody of your own Bitcoin, not needing to trust third-party providers. And what are we seeing happening? We're seeing the rebuilding of the financial system. So we had one group of arseholes being replaced with a second group of arseholes. Okay, right? And who's getting fleeced? The general public. It's a very, very sad state of affairs. Regulation can't come fast enough. That's coming from me. That's coming from me, who I've got a lot of 21 years experience in government, who then left government, attempted to start a legitimate Bitcoin related business using Bitcoin and the Lightning Network to help out a group of disadvantaged people over in Thailand, i.e., the transgender community, to accept Bitcoin via the Lightning Network and convert that to fiat currency. And what did the regulators say to me here in Australia? No, you are not allowed to do that. They wouldn't even admit me to their registers. Meanwhile, you've got people like Alex Brzezinski and Celsius and all these middlemen providers who are operating in this unregulated industry, and they're doing all these crazy things with people's funds. I just wanted to run a legitimate small business and help people. What the hell was I thinking? What was I thinking? Right? Trying to help people. Why didn't I put on my cap and say, hang on a second, there's very little regulation here. Why don't I start a lending business? Why don't I accept crappy security from people and then loan it out to shady companies and individuals? Why don't I create a black box? Now, this isn't the first time that a black box has been created in finance. Go back to the Enron and what happened with the collapse of Enron. Enron was a black box as well. Never trust a black box, people. If it's a black box and the people running the business can't explain the workings of inside the box, right? That's unacceptable, right? Unacceptable. It's really disappointing seeing what's going on in cryptocurrency. That the original ethos, the whole reason that I got into it, to take ownership of my private keys, to take custody of my Bitcoin, to be my own bank, my own payment provider, to and help people to get into it for the right reasons, and to do Bitcoin Lightning Network work, all the things that I've been doing, okay, I can't make a shit ton of money at, right? All the money is in ripping people off. It's very, very sad what's been going on. And it really disgusts me to see what's going on. I don't know. It's very disheartening.